University, better known as FAMU. Our grand contributions to society are direct results of the sacrifice and fearlessness of our ancestors that laid on the line to ignite paths for Black people to receive a quality education. What started as a continued fight for justice grew to a unique culture that cannot be ignored and is mimicked all around the world. It has become known and a way to honor the gifts of our institutions and to make sure that we leave and understand our mark. Know that courage not only takes you forward, but highlights the greatness in our history.
This year in particular is so special, as it marks a century that this month has reminded the world of the importance of our courage. As Bad Bunny's football at the end of the Super Bowl performance said last night, together we are America. Make no mistakes that this reminder is integral to the fabric of this country, and it matters. How we celebrate who are the heroes in our story every year is a question that gets answered in our exhibit, which you saw beautifully exhibited outside, through a chosen subject matter. A century of commemorations is this year's national theme for Black history. It serves to honor the forefathers and mothers that understood the importance of not staying comfortable in the face of goals set by others to maintain ignorance within people of color. But it chooses to quantify the heroes that step boldly into realizing the benefits presented by its growth. They knew that what was on the other side was unknown but necessary. For that, history writes them as heroes here.
And for the ones that carry the mantle, like me and you, are a product of the ancestors' sweat, blood, and tears. And by show of hands, how many of you have attended an HBCU? Wow, that was way more than I anticipated. So, that makes me very proud to see you guys. I would ask from where, maybe you can all just... And how many of you have ever supported a family member that has attended an HBCU? But all of you are here tonight to participate in an art engagement dialogue, highlighting not just HBCU history, but Black history. Our heroes' contributions are cool in museums and artistic displays, but matters most when we continue the legacy to rise.
Tonight, it is our pleasure to present to you who are the heroes in our story, the HBCU edition, as this year's topic on the African American resilience story. When you live long enough, we know that where we begin is just the beginning. Our fate will always remain in our hands. What we do with this honor is probably the most important part of our story. Now, the door to our 2026 Art Engagement Dialogue, moderated by attorney Eugene Pettis, is now open. Before we go, however, know that going to Miramar doesn't just happen without the benefit of a forward-thinking commission. So be it all appropriate that I have the privilege to bring to the stage Mayor Wayne Messam. Vice Mayor Colburn is not here as of yet, Commissioner Chambers, Commissioner Sherazad, and Commissioner Edwards.
Good evening. Okay, there we go, there we go. Let's give our phenomenal director and assistant director a round of applause for a dynamic opening to this event. I'm so proud of this exhibit. I'm so proud of this upcoming panel discussion. We have some phenomenal academic scholars as well as jurists who will be able to just give some context as relates to our HBCUs, the founding, those who may be land grant as well as the private entities. So again, by show of hands, how many HBCU alumni individuals are in the place? Okay, I'm jealous of all of you all. You know that, right? All right, don't hold it against me. I grew up a Rattler, back from where I was from. You know, I grew up in the muck, little town, South Bay, right outside of Belgrade, and all of my educators, everybody in the community, either went to FAMU, but then Goodman, Howard, Morehouse, all of these schools. So that's how I was influenced. And I was playing sports, And I got 5 official visits. And I saved 1 visit for FAMU. All these schools recruit me across the country to come play for them, and I saved 1 visit for FAMU. And back then, I think a stamp was about, what, 25 cents, first class stamp? Just waiting in the mailbox at the post office, trying to get an invite to come to FAMU to visit the school. Never got it. I guess they thought I wouldn't come because all these schools were recruiting me, so I had to settle and play football for Florida State. But I have many members of my family who are Rattlers, and we support the university, and we support all of our HBCUs. And this exhibit gives our community an opportunity to see just how these phenomenal institutions of higher learning were founded, the purpose of their founding, where they are located, and why they are so important that they exist. We are in a political climate that is slowly chipping away and whitewashing our existence. That's not hyperbole, that's not an exaggeration. By law, right now today, students at historically black colleges in this state that receive money from this state or maybe a land grant, their students can't promote black history, basically, these organizations, because of DEI policies that prevent them from doing so, which is sad, right? Especially in our places of education. So this is a meaningful discussion we're about to have. I'm so proud that our Miramar Cultural Affairs Department came up with this idea to feature it during Black History Month for all of the world to come and visit and learn. And we are recording this, and we hope that we can get this into our schools and our younger generation, because we must preserve not only the importance of our institutions, but how they were founded, why they were founded, and why they must continue to exist. So thank you all for coming out this evening. And now I invite my colleague on the Miramar City Commission, Commissioner Edwards, to extend greetings.
Now more than ever, it is critical that we highlight and teach it to our young ones, as well as practice it ourselves. Because sometimes we forget. And I'm going to do a quick quote for you here. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery, because none but ourselves can free our minds. We know that those words from Bob Marley's Redemption Song. But Bob Marley took those words from a speech that was made in the 1920s by the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He was one of the early civil rights activists. And he was big on education. He was big on us freeing our minds and educating ourselves. And the HBCUs stood there and delivered that education to black people in a time when it was dangerous. And so let's celebrate tonight, let's celebrate this month, but celebrate 365. We have a great panel, we have some enlightening and some discussions, and I look forward to hearing them, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Take this opportunity to ask our colleague and friend from Miami Gardens, the Honorable Vice Mayor Robert L. Stevens III, if you could just stand to be recognized. Thanks for joining us this evening for this meaningful dialogue.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioner Edwards. At this time, I'm going to bring forward our moderator for this evening, Attorney Eugene Pettis. Attorney Pettis. Attorney Pettis is a founding partner of Osborne, Francis & Pettis, a Florida-based law firm with offices statewide with over 40 years of experience. He focuses on complex civil litigation, including medical malpractice, personal injury, and civil rights cases. So it makes it very awesome for this evening. Eugene made history as the first African-American president of the Florida Bar, because that's what we do. We make history. Where he led initiatives focused on leadership, development, and inclusion. He currently serves as the Board of Regents of American College of Trial Lawyers and lives in Fort Lauderdale with his wife and family. Attorney Pettis.
Thank you, Kamasha. Before I forget, I want to thank the folks who cooked such a delicious meal. If I wasn't coming up here to speak, I'd have gotten another bowl of that shrimp and grits. It was excellent, so thank you all who did the catering for us. I'm excited about this opportunity to have a discussion. Mayor Messam touched upon a few things that I think are just critical, as did Commissioner Edwards. We have allowed ourselves to get pigeonholed into the month of February. And that's the only time we really raise our attention of our history. And there is no people on this earth that has a richer history than those from the African diaspora. If we could put together the fabric of the United States and start eliminating the pieces that were invented by black folk, you would be left with a blank canvas. Because most things that we enjoy, not just culinary, not just cultural, inventions that were founded by black folk, but were stolen and patented by other people. And it goes on and on and on. The list is so deep. So in the face of what the mayor said, of folks like Ron DeSantis trying to whitewash our history, that means we have to be even stronger. That means we have to be the one to speak up and teach our children. That means the churches have to get back to teaching black history in the churches. We can't rely on the state to do anything, because if you do, it gets manipulated. So this is one of the efforts. I commend Miramar. This is the second time they've invited me back to moderate this panel, and I'm excited about the quality, as I was last year, on this 100th celebration of Black history from Dr. Woodson, when he founded it in the early 1900s of 1926, and 100 years to the day. We're going to cover that century of Black history, but with that, the first thing I would like to do is to show Black history is not just talking about the past. There's still history that's taking place today. And I'm going to start off with a young lady. I heard a lot of rattlers in the house. Marching 100. Of all the decades of the Marching 100, we're living in the first year of the first black female to lead the Marching 100 as the head drum major. And she's going to speak to us. She could not be here, but Olu is going to speak to us.
I had 3 requirements. 1, they had to have a theater program. 2, they had to have a band that I could play my saxophone in and march. And not just any band would do, because 3, I wanted to go to an HBCU. Now, while family checks all my boxes, the thing that is distinct about the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, not just the marching band, but the indelible resources of what we call the FAMU. The FAMU is the excellence and caring that I have been a benefactor from of all my years of being at FAMU. I've had a secure sense of identity, having studied theater performance with black professors amongst my black peers who have been able to see that I am a star, they are stars, and we're going into a place that may not see us as such, but we know who we are. I want to say thank you to the Miramar Cultural Center for acknowledging the indelible resources that all HBCUs give to our black community, and that is the resource of knowledge, because knowledge is power. So I want to wish everybody a happy Black History Month and make Black history every day. Thank you.
I'm going to Kentucky, and I ended up at the University of Florida. So, but it's all good. It's deep in my family DNA. I'm going to call up our panelists and start our conversation. I'm going to start with Sonia Dickens. Would you please come up and join us on the stage? Sonia is the city attorney for Miami Gardens. She's just not the city attorney. She created the legal office at the City of Miami Gardens. She is an excellent lawyer. She holds degrees from Spelman College in Atlanta. has also her doctor of jurisdiction. I want to. She had a JD degree, I'll say. That's what happens when you have a drink. Her JD degree from the University of Miami. She's a fantastic person, a community servant, a friend. Looking forward to hearing her comments on this particular panel. I'm going to then ask Dr. Marvin Dunn to please come up. When you talk about living legend of Black history, this is who Dr. Dunn is. And I don't say that in the past tense. He is still fighting for what's right within our Black community. As he sits down here, he took on the Miami-Dade College of giving land to Donald Trump's library. And in this day where everybody, so many people, too many people are afraid to, speak up, he doesn't care. He's a young 85 years old. He's never been scared, and certainly is not scared now. So I commend him for that. He's written so many books, I can't give you the whole list, but one that caught my eye, The History of Florida Through Black Eyes. Is such an interesting review. He hit the Miami riots that they had back in 1980. He's had the Black Miami in the 20th century, and the list goes on. So he has a wealth of knowledge in so many areas, but it's just so impressive that he's still fighting the fight, and he's so strong. I was at a program at the Biltmore about 3 weeks ago, and I presented a lady who's a historian of Florida history. Johnny McCrae is a graduate, heavily engaged at Bethune-Cookman, was the chairman of the board of Bethune-Cookman for quite some time, has raised tons of money for Bethune-Cookman. He is a criminal lawyer par excellence. I get calls all the time, and Johnny is my speed dial criminal lawyer. He is excellent at what he does, and he's handled some really high-profile people and cases. He's a hard worker. He started off with Wilkie Ferguson, Judge Ferguson, as his law clerk, and he's never looked back of climbing. I asked him when he got here in the restroom, because I saw he was 45 years in the practice. I said, "Johnny, you still enjoying it?" And he said, "Oh yeah, man, I keep in good shape, and I'm still going strong." So Johnny, a good friend of mine, if you could join us on the stage. Do we have mics up there in every seat? Do I need to take this one?
People were trying to be white in our education, as opposed to teaching Black students how to actually survive in real life. And I understood that because in the time that Dr. Woodson wrote his book, and as he was, matriculating, by the way, he never attended an HBCU, but he was passionate about HBCUs. Black people had to come out of college and work, and oftentimes they would get degrees in areas where they couldn't actually practice. I think the gap has been bridged a lot these days, because now we're getting education and we can go into these jobs in the workforce. My college, which is Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, we graduate more female PhDs than any other school in the nation in the STEM area. And I don't think that, thank you, not that I had anything to do with it, but thank you. And I don't think that he foresaw a time that would happen. But so that's just one example. So that's what I'll say.
Well, I think that the bridge has been gapped. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The gap has bridged.
He had a drink also.
No, I don't drink.
He had a drink of water.
I drink too much water. There's no question that we've made some progress, but I think one of the things that we're faced with now is losing some of that progress. With the current administration, basically what I'm starting to see are those things that Carter G. Woodson fought against, those things that he identified. He talked about if you can control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. He also talked about how education basically was not even. It wasn't fair. Basically, education did not afford blacks the privilege of actually knowing their own history. Well, you know, when we talk about DEI and some of the things that are going on now, and I was talking to Ms. Dickens a few minutes ago, I saw in the newspaper just the other day where FAMU was ordered to take the name black out of black history. So although we have made a lot of progress in terms of showing black history, the visibility of black, I'm sorry, I'm making plenty of blunders today. Yeah. So, you know, the thing is, we've just got to be mindful. We've got to vote. We've got to kind of connect with each other a little more, because the more and more I see people condoning, our people condoning the foolishness that we see on a daily basis with this current administration, we're losing ground. And so we've got to make sure that the HBCUs do what they've done over the years. That is, help everybody basically create and maintain that mindset that we're not just anybody, we're somebody. And you know, that's just from my experience. You know, I went to Florida State for a law program, a summer program. I went to the University of Florida for another program. And because of me watching and knowing about Dr. Martin Luther King, I knew that I could compete wherever I go. And that's what drives me in my practice now. And I'll mention it later. I don't want to hog the time, but I'll mention later to you just some of my experiences as a lawyer and how Bethune-Cookman University and Howard University School of Law, how those two institutions really, really played a very pivotal role in my success.
I was seeing that gap bridged, but my concern now is that many of our brightest students are being drained off to other universities, away from our black universities. And I'm concerned about the brain drain from our universities that I think made us so great as we've come along. So I'm happy to hear black people say, black students say, I chose to go to a black university or college because I want to maintain that history that has been so well maintained so far by our HBCUs.
Let's look at the mission that was set out. Is there currently a gap between the historical rhetoric of HBCUs, liberation, excellence, all those cultural themes that we are talking about, and the daily reality of students today? I'll start off with you, Dr. Dunn.
Of course there is. I think the daily realities of students today is that they have to shut up. They have to be quiet. The daily reality for teachers today is they have to be quiet. They cannot teach our history. I went out to FIU, where I taught for 36 years, about a year ago. Because as many of you know, in every black community that I know of, there's a tree where the men hang out, old men, telling lies and playing the dozens and getting drunk. No children, no women allowed. And I went up to FIU to return some artifacts about a year ago, and I stepped outside of the library and I picked a tree. And I named it the FIU Black History Learning Tree. And I didn't ask anybody a damn thing. I just started teaching under that tree and people came. And I'm still doing that. We have to insert ourselves where we're not welcome, including on these now, white campuses where our history is being so suppressed. So my view is that the universities, the colleges, the white ones now that are draining us, so many of our students have an obligation to teach our history. And for those of us who have the option to confront it and to force the issue with these universities, I think we should be doing that. And that's why I chose that Black History Learning Tree, and will continue to teach under that tree.
You know, we've mentioned here, Johnny, you just...
And the white lady that owned her was very mean to my Grandma Lizzie, very mean to her. But Grandma Lizzie fixed that woman's breakfast every morning. Guess what she would do? Spit in the coffee. Lady never knew. Grandma Lizzie would spit in the coffee. Empowering. Making your point to yourself and feeling empowered and not getting caught. Find ways to teach black history, to teach these concepts without getting caught. There was some professor at FSU, I think a black professor, who decided to get around the DEI problem by just teaching it outright. He thought secretly, and then bragging about it in the newspaper. If you're going to spit in the coffee, don't go to the press until just do your thing out of sight. There are ways to get around these things. The folks who are suppressing us are not that smart. They really aren't. We're smarter than they are. Our students need to learn how to gain progress, but avoid getting caught in the trap. And I urge a little bit of spitting in the coffee, not just for students. Some of y'all can do some spitting too.
Johnny,
Our alumni of these HBCUs learn to appreciate the value of organization, of being collective. One of the problems historically and nationwide currently, you don't have alumni associations that are strong. Certainly they have the potential to be strong. I was president of the Bethune-Cookman University Alumni Association up until maybe about 4 years ago. And when I went in, we only had about 300 or 400 persons who were actually members of the association. Within 3 months under my leadership and the individuals who were supporting me, we tripled the membership and we were going actually beyond that. The alumni associations have to start prioritizing, they have to start understanding that there's more importance, things that are important than football, basketball, athletics. That's the problem with most of the HBCUs. At Bethune-Cookman, it's a problem. You know, they care more about how many games we won or whether or not we beat FAMU in November or Grambling, more so than whether or not a kid is actually in need of finances. So we could do a lot more as alumni, as an alumni association, if we start to appreciate the value of what we can accomplish. Because we could actually do a lot more if we had the numbers.
Well stated. Dr. Woodson believed that highlighting black achievements would prompt social equality. After 100 years of celebrating these achievements, why isn't it this recognition translated more effectively in closing the racial, wealth, and justice gaps we see in our society?
Well, I think of fear. I think basically it has a lot to do with fear. I mean, if we go back to slavery time, we see that a slave would get whooped, as they used to say, if they got caught with a book. So we see blacks starting to succeed academically, and they start to, by them succeeding academically, it makes it a lot easier for them to succeed in the business world. The system doesn't want to see that. They don't want to give the blacks the opportunities that they deserve, especially when they've done well. And so we don't see them getting those opportunities as much, and it's getting worse now.
And a lot of our ideas get stolen by white folks who then go ahead and exploit those and get rich. Whether you're talking about Eli Whitney with that cotton gin, which he did not invent, he patented it, he didn't invent it. A lot of our cultural ideas and innovations get taken over. All of a sudden, they now become major features in the white world. So a lot of our greatest contributions have been stolen by others. I just want to comment, though, about this, the question about alumni being active and what have you. A lot of them, if you consider the fact, a lot of black professionals work in the public sector. We work for the state, the government, we teach, we work with the city, the county. And those jobs are very, very vulnerable jobs for us. If we had more of our folks working in the private sector with more independence to act, rather than depending on the county, the city, the hospital, or what have you, I think we would see more activism. But the nature of the jobs that our graduates of our HBCUs get into tend to be in the public sector. When the civil rights movement kicked off in Miami, for example, I spent some time with some of the leaders of that moment who told me, Dr. Dunn, you know, we couldn't get a school teacher to come to an NAACP meeting. We could not get a school teacher to come to a core meeting. The folks who led the movement were the janitors, custodians, the bus drivers, who gave them $5 or $10. The professionals stayed away, did not want to be associated with it. So I think for a lot of us who are professionals, We need to get comfortable being around the people. That's where the power is.
And that's well off script.
One of the things I was talking to somebody about the other day is I've been private and I've been government. And I've always used the power, the little power that I had. When I was private, I hired black associates. Y'all can go look at my website at the City of Miramar Gardens, and I don't apologize for it. When we get in these positions, we can't be too good that we don't reach back. But and the other thing I want to say, and I want to bring it back to the HBCU conversation. Some schools are more successful than others, and what you will find in all of those schools that are really successful is that the alumni give a lot of money back. Now, not everybody went to an HBCU, but everybody should be giving to an HBCU. Everybody should be giving to an HBCU on a monthly basis. You guys will not miss $25 a month out of your paycheck. I know you won't. I know you won't. Even if you don't have a child that's matriculating, you know that there's some kid at these HBCUs that are struggling. One of the things, I'm a member of the Fort Lauderdale chapter of the Links. I know y'all are out there. And one of the things we do, we have an endowment at Florida Memorial. And a lot of other Link chapters do as well. If you have agency like that, if you have a group, you can have endowments at these colleges. But even if you just give $10 a month, we should be helping these kids matriculate. They shouldn't be worried about, can I pay my bill? And that's how, you don't have to be, you can be a teacher, you can be a janitor, you can be whoever you want to be, and you don't have to make a big political statement about it. It's just a check that you write every month.
Good point.
But the other thing too that's important about HBCUs, as Sonia said, you don't have to be a graduate to give. When you give, the giving rate goes up for that school. And it's easier to get philanthropists to give when they see that our own are giving. So it's very, very important for us to give to the schools. It doesn't have to be $1 million. They look at the giving rate. Actually, and I learned this as being the National Alumni President, it's better actually for the school if the school can get, I'm not good in multiplication, one person, 1 million people giving $1 each, that would equal $1 million. It benefits the school more to get it that way than to have one person just give $1 million. Because it's easier to get money from philanthropists, other private foundations when you do it that way. So please pick a school and start giving. And I won't be mad if you give to Bethune-Cookman University.
Another point that Dr. Woodson talked about was he warned us against educational systems that they were ignoring the contributions that these institutions were doing. 100 years later, what are the modern, and I'll start with you, Dr. Dunn, miseducations we are facing in our public curriculum?
Good question. Miseducation? That there was good and bad on both sides. That there was racial violence by white people and by black people. That slavery was, yes, in America, but also in Africa, in Europe. So this business of equivocating evil. Yeah, we did it, but y'all did it too. We did it, but they did it too. We got to fight against that. Y'all did it, damn it. But you did it more than anybody else did. At least to make the point that we will not be pacified by these attempts to make it appear that in history things even out, because things are not evened out. And I think we need to make that message.
And I'm just interested from your deep historical perspective. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
Let's get past this. How do you respond to somebody saying, that's old history, let's get past it?
I can't say in good company what my response to that is. But it's an invitation to have a smack someplace. No. I understand, particularly in Miami, you hear from Cubans, what are y'all complaining? Even Haitians don't understand the experience. If you look at African American experience going back to 300 years in this country, we have not gotten over it. We will not get over it until there's equality in our society. So I'm not dissuaded by folks who say that to me and to my kids. When the ground is level, we will be over it. Right now, we got a ways to go.
Let's look at a new topic, the contemporary student and the alumni experience. I think we kind of touched upon it, but let's look at the support systems we have around these institutions. How do HBCUs provide a holistic experience, a safe environment for first generation students that PWIs might struggle to replicate?
Well, I mean, I can't speak to PWIs other than the fact that I did go to law school that was PWI. And Spelman is a unique thing, and I won't compare it to other universities because we're all female, and because we're insulated in a way. So people feel comfortable bringing their daughters. We had curfew. We couldn't do anything hardly when I was at Spelman. That was 30-some years ago, 40 years ago probably. But I think that in the learning environment at HBCUs, what we are taught that I believe may be somewhat different than other students may be taught is that they teach us that we are the talented 10th that W.E. Du Bois spoke of. That there's nobody when I graduate from this college that's gonna be able to go up against me and beat me. I may not be the best, but I'm gonna act like I am, and I think I am. I had that level of confidence going into law school that I can debate you on whatever issue, even though you think you're smarter than I am. And a lot of people presuppose that because you went to an HBCU that you don't have the goods. I could have went any school I wanted to. I chose to go to Spelman. And I love the fact that we are now creating environments at all the HBCUs where our students come out into the workforce and they are confident because we're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're in positions to hire you. We're everywhere. And I don't say that to try to, as a way to separate, because I believe all of us are in the same boat, whether you went to a PW or our HBCU. My husband's in the audience. He went to Northwestern University, so he didn't go to it.
And you loved him anyway.
I love him anyway. So I think it takes all of us, but I do believe that we have we are taught a little bit of something different. We're something secret in the sauce.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're taught things, particularly that our leadership at these institutions realize that we need. For example, I arrived at Morehouse College in 1961 on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on the steps of the freshman dorm, and in comes two canary yellow Eldorado Cadillac convertibles. One was being driven by Aretha Franklin, the other by her brother Cecil Franklin, who was in our class, with the top down. We're just sitting there watching the Franklins arrive. Cecil gets out, he has the Morehouse suit on, and a process. The next morning, Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, legendary educator, called Cecil into his office, told him get a haircut, send the Cadillac back to Detroit, and get some decent clothes. Now, that was a lesson to all of us. Don't just show out. Don't come in trying to, And you learn these things from good leadership in these schools that recognize that we need something more than just academic training. We need also the kind of sensitivity as we grow up as men and women that make us better people.
Just to piggyback on the HBCU administrations, the leadership, to bring in those teachers, those professors who are committed to the HBCU experience, to getting these kids, these young men and women, to where they need to be. And I think that's one of the things that's been lacking at PWIs. I've known persons to attend PWIs, and I told you I've gone on summer programs there. It's a little different culturally. And so, you know, I know at Bethune-Cookman, when I was there, the history teacher used to actually not call on me because I was always prepared, and I would get mad when he wouldn't call on me. I would be popping my finger, getting the call. And so one day he told me, he said, Brother McCray, you know why you do that? Because you're not sure of yourself. And I didn't understand that because I'm thinking, how am I not sure of myself and I'm prepared? He says, you're trying to impress other people. And when you don't get called on, when you're not able to impress other folk, you know, it bothers you, it impacts you. And that stuck with me. And those are the type stories, just like Brother Dunn has just said, those are the type stories that you hear, that you live, that you experience at HBCUs, even currently. And we need it now, especially with this generation of young men and women that we're dealing with now. Anyway, that's another story.
From a PWI standpoint, it's gotten worse. The lack of culture I'm still heavily engaged. I talk to the Black Student Union presidents. I have, when they got rid of DEI on March 1st of 2024, I was on the road going up to the University of Florida to talk to Ben Sass, who was the president at that point in time. And I put together a coalition of 150 Black alumni. And the thing we heard from the younger students, current students, is there is no structure of togetherness. They're in a big 60,000 student ocean, and they don't feel connected to anything. Over the summer of that year, they took down everything that was Hispanic, everything that was African from the rooms they had. It was just empty rooms when they got back. Nobody knows where the stuff went. But it's being challenged. So you have the balance. These kids are trying to fight of a great education, but lack of culture and lack of confidence sometimes when you're in those institutions. Certain people can climb in it. Other people, I had classmates when I was a freshman at Florida that moved and went to FAMU. The culture just was that void. Let me ask, let's talk about the media. We mentioned, Sonia, that the impressions that people have of HBCUs. The media, what role does the media play in shaping the importance of these claims that these institutions are subpar, they're not needed, they're not fulfilling any purpose? That whole rhetoric that you hear from, the guy in the White House, and they just parrot that, which obviously has a negative impact on this institution.
Florida, come on now, let's be real.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be real. And I think that the media plays a part in that. DEI, they say DEI for everything. Anything anybody gets DEI. I guess I'm DEI. Well, I don't know. Anybody's you're DEI, you're the first Black president. What year did you become the president of Florida Bar?
13.
So when somebody says we don't need it anymore, in 2013 we had the first Black president of the Florida Bar. Y'all understand? Come on.
65 years after the first president. It took 65 years to have one.
But we equal.
And 10 years later, we've had a second. I was talking to Sarah Baker Barnes today.
I know.
And the third one is going to come even less than 10 years. When you let us on the stage, we perform. And that's why they're so damn scared of letting us on the stage. When you're looking the DEI, I mean, it's out of control. The bridge that, the ship that ran into the bridge in Baltimore, DEI. And they were not even from the country. The helicopter that hit the plane in Washington, immediately, I heard some of it popped up again last week, DEI, and it turned to be 3 white pilots. It's DEI, and it's just become a buzzword. But like you said, Black folks probably got the least out of DEI. When you look at white women, got the biggest chunk. Down in Miami, Hispanics, and on our back of fighting for those type of things, so many demographics have benefited from it. But you have handicapped people, that have physical limitations. You have veterans. You have all of these things that are DEI. But when they talk DEI, they put one picture up, and it's us. It's one picture. Let's look forward into the future.
We've always chosen presidents who are some of the best in their field. We don't choose anybody to come and be the president at Spelman College. You can't. It's not a political appointment to be president at Spelman. And that's what when Johnny said what he said, I thought about it, and I thought about some of the schools that I see that couldn't accommodate kids that wanted to come. They cannot accommodate because they don't have the administrative part, and they don't have that in place, and they don't have the professorships in place. You have to have that, and that takes money. I get it, it takes money. That's why I said it's gonna take more than the tuition from the kids that are coming. It's gonna take more than alumni giving. It's gonna take all of us, because it's all our children going to these schools. So everybody, again, adopt an HBCU. That's my thing, adopt an HBCU.
I think one of the biggest issues facing many of the HBCUs, we talk about Spelman, we talk about Morehouse, they're high academic HBCUs. The main purpose of HBCUs being in existence was to give black folk an opportunity who would otherwise would not have that opportunity. So at one time, it was the thing to do to give a young man who may be a low C an opportunity to get that education. But now you have schools such as Morehouse,
That's
FAMU.
FAM is the,
You know,
FAMU is the
it's-
number one
it's-
public HBCU.
Yeah, it's harder to get in those schools now, without a certain GPA, without certain test scores. So does that go against what the mission of the HBCUs was back many, many years ago? Do you not let these kids in? So it's a tough question. A lot of kids are now not getting in because the grades are not that high.
But there are other schools for them. Everybody can't go to Harvard. I mean,
Right.
you just can't now. And I'm not comparing anybody to Harvard because I don't think that they're as good as we are. But I'm saying there are other opportunities. There's Alabama State, there's Alabama. First of all, the state of Alabama has more HBCUs than any other state in the nation. And it's not far and it's inexpensive.
Two things, and I'll see if I can formulate it. I hate to hear the word that so many of us are scared. It just, every time I hear it in different contexts, I look back on our foreparents in the 50s and the 60s that had everything to lose and still stood strong. They were willing to sacrifice their lives to get in the streets and fight for equality and justice. And we are here with so many resources, and we're scared, How do we get over the fact that we are so accustomed to where we are until we don't want to sacrifice anything for the better good?
Dr. Gunn ain't never scared.
I think you have to decide, whatever age you are, that you're going to stand for right and be willing, as King said, to accept the consequences. You're going to go out and protest and stand against something, you're going to get flack. There's going to be a consequence of doing that. Make your mind up, know ahead of time, yes, if I do this, I'm going to have a problem. But be willing and prepared to accept the consequences of our actions. Once you're prepared to do that, then they can't stop you. Can't stop you. But there's nothing they can take away from me.
Exactly.
What are they going to do? Drag my 85U behind from under that tree at FIU?
Right.
I'm not going to help them arrest me. So, I just think that there are ways that we can resist and stand up and fight. And that, as I said earlier, they're not as strong as we think they are.
Right.
And once you confront them, they back off. Look at what the guy in the White House, what's his name? Once you stand up to this fool, he backs off.
Yeah.
So I think that's the pattern we should expect. Yes, they could hurt you. Yes, they may hurt you. But you might find out that you're stronger than you think you are once you stand up for yourself and for other people.
Excellent.
I was just going to say that, I think even 50 years from now, we're going to have some of our people who are doing well, who's just comfortable. And they're not going to get out and risk, what they're doing, their achievements. But I think that there are other ways that individuals can be effective. Because even during the civil rights movement, everybody wasn't out there marching. Sometimes you can lend some legal advice. You don't have to let it be known that you're doing it. There are ways of doing it. There are other ways of being committed. Everybody's not going to get out and get dirty and sweaty, but it's about commitment. I had a pastor who used to always say it's not about equal giving, it's about equal sacrifice. So I think that's, the kind of mentality that we need to try to develop and maintain over the years.
I'm going to close. One of the things, and the mayor touched upon a point that I was going to make, is that when I was honored on Friday, I said, I don't need another honor. They said, we want to honor you for your leadership of the Tower Club and the community. How do you want it? I said, I want some youth in the audience. And I facilitated 40 students being in the audience. My firm paid for these 40 students because those are the ones we have to educate. Most of us, are older, and we get it. I was pleased when you said, Mr. Mayor, that you're going to get the video of this into some of these schools. They need to hear. It was one mother, I don't know if she's still out there with her son. I met him at the door. He was a stand-up young man. I guarantee you he's more enriched by hearing it directly from us than his mom going home and telling him about it. So I commend you, Mom. We need to get our youth in here to strengthen them for what's going to be a hard journey. Their road is going to be harder than ours was. You know, I caught the wave, and I sailed through my career up until, you know, period. I've sailed through, and what's going on now is not impacting me. It's going to impact that young man. So I really encourage us next year, Kamarsha, as to bring some young folks in here so they can be a part of it, and let us hear their concerns. Because from middle school to high school, they have some concerns that we need to hear about. So I want to again congratulate you, Kamarsha, on an incredible event again. She does so much work behind the scene. All I have to do is she winds me
on 36 acres of land, and the owner wants $2 million for that property to sell it. She said, how much? I said, $2 million. She said, okay. She put that $2 million into the budget last year, the federal budget. Doge took it out. Guess what she did? She put it back in. And that big, beautiful, ugly thing that they're gonna sign in a few days, that $2 million to buy those 36 acres of land and say that J.B. White House is in that bill, and your congresswoman did that. If you see her, thank her. And this will become public once the budget is adopted. But David did that for history.
I thank you all for your input. I give a special thanks to you, Dr. Dunn. You're a role model to all of us of how to be a selfless, committed citizen and give your all to the betterment of our society. I thank you for that. Yes, I'm sorry. Before the panel, before you get up, it's hard to
fall on hard times with their water bill. And some people would give more, but, you know, people fight the program because they think the program was too good. You know. Yes. You know, look at the situation that we are going through right now. We have churches, we have brothers and sisters. Either did not vote, I did not vote for the right person because they thought the country was being too gay. Now, gay been around from way back and way back. Homosexual been around, and going to the Bible is there. And we chose not to vote against our own interests. And that's why we are dealing with what we are dealing with right now. A lot of people didn't. They didn't vote. They voted for the other person. Why? Are you going to stop homosexuality? You can't. So they lose all their rights. And that's why we are dealing with what we're dealing with. Thank you.
And what the commissioner, I always look back and tell people, your vote matters. Look how the state of Florida would have been so different if Gillum would have won. He was 30,000 votes away. 30,000 votes away. There was a district in Miami that 30,000+ people didn't vote, just Miami alone. There's a consequence to voting, and there's an even bigger consequence to not voting. When you don't vote, you can't sit on the sideline and complain what they're doing because you didn't exercise the right that was so hardly fought for each and every one of us. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, one and all. Fantastic work. I have goosepimples. I'm Dr. Eileen Davis Jerome. I have not graduated from an HBCU, but I can happily claim that I was a visiting professor, a beat professor at Bethune-Cookman College in another life. My social security number is 1, and I'm as old as water, but I have had the experience of being a high school principal, a higher education student service administration person in charge of college admissions, setting up visiting student programs with the HBCUs, which was an honor and a pleasure for me because my family came out of HBCUs, even though I did not. It's my observation, having worked more recently in the international community as former Broward president of United Nations Association, UNA-USA, that our students need a real global concept that attaches to them. I salute our mayor, Messam, former honoree for UNA-USA, for all the work he's done with the international community and bringing that home. We have many scholarships that our students qualify for and do not apply for outside of what we give. And you only need to work with college advisors. Parents should ask, what do you have on the computer? As a high school principal with predominantly black high schools, it was my observation that parents came in asking about the athletic scholarships. And some of the HBCUs would fight over my kids in New York, but we were told the basketball scholarships, okay for the Northerners or the Northeasterners, but we're saving the football scholarships for the Southern kids. I mean, the lingo that goes back and forth between the college admissions offices and the high school admissions offices, we need to learn that lingo and be a part of it. And I salute my Link sisters, my Sorors, the Divine Nine. We had a great time tonight. We have a huge community to get together and help do. And I'm always willing to listen.
Hello to all and to this wonderful city of Miramar. Mayor, you're doing a wonderful job. I've been here since the late 1990s, and I can see the progress. I am Phyllis Kirkland. I am a graduate of the greatest university in the state of Florida, Rattlers. While I was at Florida A&M, I'm one of those hidden figures. I studied data processing technology. We didn't have computers there. So we were connected to the University of Florida. We had to stay up all night long. Our paperwork, if you remember the printed papers, IBM and all of that. And that's how we got our work done. So when I graduated, a person like me, black female, data processing technology, it was hard, very, very hard, because they think that we're not intelligent. So my goal right now is before I retire to make sure those that look like me, I teach computers. I'm a former adjunct at FLOMO. I teach, was a lead teacher at Miami Central Senior High Magnet Program, computer magnet program. But right now we need students that look like me in the technology. And I know most of you buy games for your children. I encourage my children to be the game makers. They need to be the game makers. I've had just finished cybersecurity. The state is looking for us. They are looking for people like me, and they paid us a couple of grands just to take the class. So I've had things like that. But we need to encourage our students. Technology is going to be just worldwide. We are not, as African Americans, keeping up with it. So my goal, like before I retire, hopefully maybe sometime soon, but anyway, to make sure that our children are part of that. And there are all kind of programs here, because I know we do the STEM here, you do the airway science, aviation. We need them. We need them, and there are all kind of programs. I do Girls Who Code. I spend my weekends doing this type of stuff, but we need the students. And right now, when these students graduate from high school, they're starting them off with 6 figures. So, and I'm telling my students, and I'm hoping everybody in here does the same thing with the students that look like me, so we can keep up with this technological world. Thank you very much.
That has turned into Phoenix. But I want you to understand, we are black people, and we have to work together. We have people that has come from other countries. But my question, because I do have a question, of our very esteemed panelists, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you so much. The question is this: amongst our race, how can we gain the trust of all of our African descendants to be on one accord? Because I'm gonna tell you, it hurts to the core when my husband sit up there on that Davis and we work, and there are people that don't work for the same goal for us as people in this city to make sure we are successful, because we don't want to be another city that's broke. We don't want to be another city that's showing discord in the public atmosphere. We want to be a city that's united for the mission of the people of Miramar. The people of Miramar. Because guess what? Those Spanish people got white blood in them and black blood. And blood that is going to be part of Africa. But at the same time, when we hurt each other, we hurt all. But my question, how can we be able to trust each other so we can have a better economy? Sir, thank you.
Amongst us with that kind of level of value, where they take the commitment of their lives forward and commit to the community in the way that you do. You don't see that. And I think that's important for us to value. So I'm super proud of you. I stand super proud of you, and I hope everyone sees the value of what that looks like. It will go away, unfortunately, because we're so far removed. So I am super proud of you to have accepted this challenge this evening. Also, Attorney McCray, I am, again, equally esteemed to be in your company, and I appreciate you taking the challenge to be in front of the City of Miramar's crowd and to invest into our engagement dialogue, as well as Attorney Dickens. It was an easy ask, right? And you said it was okay. And you're also a resident of Miramar, right? So, although she reps Monty Garden, she reps Miramar hard, right? She has no choice. The subject of this matter was the higher investors, right? People that invest to establish where we're going to go next. I hope you saw the value of that. As well as I wanted to talk about other people. The fact that this developed wasn't just because of the Cultural Affairs Department. We work across interdepartmentally, so I want to acknowledge Anita Faye Taylor. She is the Director of Economic.
I'm in your way. You take a step up because there's some shadow. Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Hey, brother, you want to help me out with that soundbite really quick, or? Probably should if you're going to want it.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and when you are ready, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Miramar Mayor Wayne Messam, and we're here live at the Miramar Cultural Center. We've had an amazing discussion on the Higher Investor Series here. In honor of Black History Month, we had a very engaging discussion about historically black colleges and universities and their importance, not only just from their founding, just their contributions to our culture, our economy, and to this nation, and the importance of their existence, as well as some of the challenges and the threats against HBCUs. Just to hear Attorney Pettis, Dickens, and McCrae and Professor Dunn to talk about and give their perspective on what is necessary and what is needed today was a personal challenge, not just for me personally, but as a community. We need to ensure that we're investing in our HBCUs, we're protecting their legacy and defending their right to exist. And I'm so proud of our Miramar Cultural Affairs team who has put together this curation of thought on the stage right here for all of our community to engage in. So on behalf of the City of Miramar, we welcome you to come to the Miramar Cultural Center, where you'll be not only engaged, but you will learn so much about our community as well as our society. So as Mayor of the City of Miramar, we welcome you to the Miramar Cultural Center.
Excellent. Thank you. And go ahead.
We had a wonderful event. I'm Eugene Pettis, a local attorney at Osborne, Francis and Pettis here in South Florida. What we had today is recognizing the higher investors, particularly focusing on historically black colleges and universities. Those schools that have been here, many of them over 100 years, are a critical part of the infrastructure of what makes America great. It's not a second, so often people are misjudging the quality of education. Not only are graduates educated, but they're educated towards some characteristics that are critical to being a viable citizen in whatever community you're in. One of the things that I've been pushing, however, is to advance black history. We need to stop just talking about it amongst us older folks, and we need to bring the younger generation in. At a time when politics is taking black history out of the curriculum, it's important that we, as the citizens, we as the churches, we as the non-agency of the state, talk about black history, not just for black folks. Black history is important for all students to know. It makes them appreciate the richness of our community. So it's great to have Dr. Dunn, who is such a walking icon and legend in this state and this country on what's right to fight about. And he is still fighting at 85 years of age. I must commend him for doing that. So it's really important. I commend Miramar, from the mayor, Messam, all the way down to the cultural team. They have done an excellent job year in, year out, bringing black history to life through their exhibits in this particular hall and in so many other ways through their musical concerts, etc. So I'm really encouraging folks, when we bring this back next year, I want this room to be full, not with just older people, but I want some young folks, some high schools, some middle schoolers to come in here and give us your perspective of what black history means and to be enriched and educated so you can carry the torch in decades to come.
Awesome. Good. That's right.